I know it's been a couple of months at this stage, but you played in an epic semi-final against Limerick, who go on to win the All-Ireland final. Does it still hurt a little bit looking back that you were so close to winning that game?
Definitely, I suppose, when we look back on it and we reflect on, I suppose, being so close yet so far away, it can be extremely disappointing. But again, it's in the past now, really, and fair play to Limerick. They pushed on and claimed the ultimate title.
You've been waiting 13 years to try and land an All-Ireland hurling title here, but the last 2 years you've come mighty close. Now, you didn't quite hurl in the semi-final against Waterford 2 years ago, but this year showed how close you are.
You can definitely see that players are constantly evolving. There's new players coming in. There's a younger generation of players coming in, and there seems to be a good blend this year. Throughout the year, at different stages, whether it be league or championship, there was a nice blend to the team. There was a lot of different faces getting game time, a lot of different faces contributing at different stages. So that's ultimately what the team is about. And if we can learn any small bit from this year and progress that on a small percentage, then you'd like to be thereabouts again next year.
I was looking at the panel earlier, just before you came in. I was thinking there's very few guys even heading towards 30 yet. This is quite a young Cork panel now.
Yeah, definitely. There can be a misconception that a lot of the guys in the squad are, in their final legs. I think we have that blend of, having a couple of mature heads towards the latter stages or the early stages of their 30s, and then those young guys coming in. And those younger players, I've said it in the past, they bring a massive energy and they bring a massive enthusiasm for the game. We see that now even in the club championship at this moment in time. They're all excelling in their own clubs, and that's what you want to see. These guys have a massive graph for hurling, and you can be sure that they're looking forward to a good tough pre-season ahead.
What's John Myler brought to this camp? Because I was listening to him at the end of last year, he was saying the one thing left in the CV really is to try and win an All-Ireland senior title, as much as you guys are trying to land one here. But what's he like as a manager?
John is very straight, he's very direct, and he's a massive love for Cork hurling. His experience from being involved with other counties and the success that he's brought to them, his credentials are there on his CV, and we can see, and it's reflected in, I suppose, the way he carries himself on the sideline, what it means for him to win for Cork. And when we see that as players, you just want to go out and give as much for him as he puts into himself. So there's a good mix between John, his backroom team, and the players, and everyone's singing off the same hymn sheet.
This year you retained your Munster title. Had to come through a hell of a battle with the games in the round robin and so on as well. What was it like this year playing week on week? Because the format's going to change a little bit next year.
Yeah, I suppose game week on week can be difficult in terms of injuries. We've been very fortunate that the guys had a good bank of fitness, and they all came through each game as they came. We were very limited in terms of our injuries, and that's a credit to our medical and our strength conditioning team. So if we can continue that next year, and regardless of what the new format's going to be, making sure you have your best guys on the field and making sure that your players that are coming on are contributing, that's ultimately what we're trying to achieve every time we go to play. It
was a very enjoyable summer for supporters, particularly watching the Munster Championship this year. Was it enjoyable as a player playing in those kind of games as well?
Yeah, 100%. I think any of the games, especially here, I think the standout game would have been the Limerick game, even though we didn't win it down here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. It was a Saturday evening, it was a full house. You could get a massive, I suppose, feel of the energy from the crowd, and I think that the supporters, it was put across from everyone, from a hurling context, like what a championship it's been, and it was no different for the players. It was very, very small margins between all other counties, and Limerick were the crowd that came out on top, so you can be sure that every other county are going to be feeling that a small improvement on their side of things, and everyone can be fighting again for the stake next year.
Given that Kilkenny were so dominant for a long period of time, does it give everyone hope, the fact that Galway have made the breakthrough 2 years ago, Limerick have now won their first since the 70s, that maybe it's a bit more wide open than it was for a few years?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's probably reflected in how close those games were. I think it was a point or two. The margins were so fine this year. You go back to the Tip and Clare game, hit the butt of a post. Next thing, Clare go on and get a goal. You take our own semi-final. You can take Galway again and Clare. The margins are so small. And the intensity of the game and the standards that the players are bringing across the board are incredible, and it's a credit to the people that are training them. It's also a credit to every player in every county, what they're putting themselves through to be the best, and we're no different here in Cork.
I'm not going to say that it haunts you, but when you think back maybe 7 or 6 minutes to go in that All-Ireland semi-final, just 1 or 2 more points would have probably sealed the deal.
Yeah, look, if we look back on it and reflect on it, we should have closed out that game. It's disappointing from our point of view that we didn't, but that's what happened. It's about maybe learning on why that happened and how we can maybe fix that going forward. And as hurtful as it is not to have won and not to have pushed on, unless you learn from that, then there's no point in taking it going forward next year. So hopefully we can maybe look back, see what we need to improve on, and then next year go out and finish off those tight games.
You mentioned this incredible stadium which we're in at the moment. I was here last week for the Liam Miller match as well, and I mean, they've done a fantastic job, haven't they?
Yeah, the stadium it's incredible, you know, from a player's perspective, to be able to come down here and train in the middle of summer, you know, and have the stadium to yourself. Like it's incredible, you know. It's a brilliant environment and atmosphere to play in. You know, you've got a kind of a bowl feeling to it when the crowd are here, they're on top of you, and you know, we couldn't ask for any more here.
I saw Alan coming in there a while ago as well. I'm sure you would love to have had him fit all summer, but if he's back fit and firing now for next year, it's another boost to your panel, I would think.
Yeah, definitely. Look, Alan was a massive loss this year. You know, he contributes a huge amount in his energy, his movement, and what he brings to that forward line. You know, hopefully he can get himself back up to the level that he was at, and you know, not alone Alan, a couple of other guys that would maybe have been impressing in the club championship here in Cork, and you know, be brought in and show what they're worth.
In terms of the hurling, you know, you were multi-sportsman and obviously, you know, a very good Gaelic footballer as well. What was the attraction in terms of committing to play hurling here?
I think if I look back over my career so far, there was no particular time in my career where I focused specifically on hurling for maybe a numerous number of years. I just felt that coming to maybe the latter stages of my career, that, you know, having the opportunity to play with your brother Alan and to have the opportunity to be asked back in by John and his backroom team, it wasn't something I was willing to turn down. You know, I've been fortunate enough to have a Celtic cross in the football and Munster titles, and have ticked numerous other boxes. So, you know, there was other things that challenged me in terms of coming back to hurling, and you know, this year I felt I enjoyed it. That's the most important thing, but also, you know, look forward to further challenges going into 2019.
Cork was always known for the dual player, and it happened many times that dual players were able to do both for Cork. Have we reached the point though with the commitment now that dual is just a non-runner really?
Definitely at my age, dual players are definitely out, but you know, the demands now of the player in terms of the intensity, the new championship structure, just the demands in general in terms of, say, recovery, sleep, work, college. There's numerous other factors that are contributing to a player being 100% when he goes out and play. You know, the supporters and the people get to see 70 minutes or a reflection of 70 minutes of hard work from a team when they go out to play in championship. But there's so many other hours that go into getting yourself to that point where you're ready to play. And there's numerous people, whether it be family, friends, wives, girlfriends, it doesn't really matter, that contribute to getting you out there. So, you know, having that opportunity to be able to get out there and play, it's not just that 70 minutes, it's what actually is being put into it behind the scenes is all the difference.
It's not cheap for a county to run, particularly not a dual county like Cork. I'm sure having chill insurance now for a couple of more years, putting in 7 figures into the county board's coffers is very important for the preparation of the teams.
Absolutely, you know, we're very fortunate Chill have come back on board again for numerous years, and you know, I spoke about the support that you get from people. You know, the financial running of teams now is a massive contributing factor to teams being able to go out and get the state-of-the-art treatment in terms of how they prepare and how they don't prepare. And we're very fortunate that Chill are back on board and are supporting us and trying to get the best out of both Cork hurling and football.
Cork hurlers have won a title across every decade. Time is running out in terms of 2019. I'm sure that determination is there to try and make sure this decade has Liam coming back at some stage.
Yeah, look, to be honest with you, decades, years, it doesn't really matter, you know. Next year's a new year. There's going to be new challenges going to come across in front of our table, and you know, we have to be able to cope with that. You know, you saw the intensity and how challenging this year's Munster Championship was, and to see quality teams like Tipperary and Waterford out so early, it kind of gives you a small bit of a kick in the backside to go, that could be you next year. So, you know, we need to hit the ground running in terms of our league performance, and then get ready for what's going to be a pretty tough Munster Championship.
Is that part of the excitement and part of the danger of it all as well? Because you guys have Limerick and Tipperary on the first 2 weekends of Munster next year. You lose those 2 games, you could be behind the 8 ball very quickly.
That's exactly it. You know, there's a challenge, and it's, as you described it, as nearly being dangerous, you know, and there's a fierce risk, but it's also extremely rewarding to put yourself into that scenario and go out and play against the best teams, particularly in Munster and in Ireland. So, you know, you look at those Munster teams, there's new management coming into 2 of those teams that were knocked out very early. They're going to come with a freshness, and you know, hopefully from our own point of view, we will have learned a huge amount from last year or this year, and you know, still be thereabouts.
I think it's going to be the most cutthroat provincial championship next year. Good luck getting ready for the league. Enjoy the winter off as much as you get to enjoy, and the best luck in 2019.
Thanks very much.